Welcome back to Honda Garage, Idaho. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look all around the taillights of the second generation Honda Fit. We're going to go over accessing and replacing the factory bulbs inside if you've got one burned out. We're going to go over switching to LED bulbs if that's your thing, which it is mine. And we're going to take a look at the process of removing the whole taillight housing from the vehicle if you've got a damaged one you need to replace, maybe a bad seal, or you're swapping out for something different like the Japanese market taillights. All in all, it's pretty simple, and we're going to try and tackle all that in a quick video, so let's get started. Now, I'm going to be demonstrating everything today on just the passenger side taillight, but the steps for the other side are all basically exactly the same. Alright, so for level 1, let's take a look at replacing just the factory bulbs and the factory style housing. So you've got your backup or reverse light bulb in here, your turn signal bulb, and then of course your combination running light and brake light bulb. And these are super easy to access. Looking inside the trunk here, we've got this plastic panel, and you'll notice a little notch right here. This you can use a plastic trim tool, flathead screwdriver, or even just your finger, and pop the panel out from there. It's just held in with some plastic clips around the side, so a little bit of force and that comes right out. And now you can see we have easy access to the back side of our tail light. So here's where our bulbs are located. These are simple twist sockets, so they come out with a little bit of counterclockwise turn. We'll show on the brake socket here. We'll just rotate it this way. And at about 45 degrees tilt, it will slide straight backward out of the tail lamp housing, like so. And we can do this for our other sockets as well. Turn the same direction, and it'll come right out. And the reverse light's kind of snugged in here, but you can get to it. There we are. Now each of these sockets has a different size connector on the back, so you can't really mix them up. And let's go over the bulb sizes here for replacement. Your reverse or backup light socket is a 921 bulb. This has the same physical base as like a 194 little corner light, but it's a larger bulb, a little bit brighter. So if you're hunting for reverse light bulbs, look for a 921. These of course just pull straight out of the socket like so. And you can see there's the metal contacts on the bottom there that contact inside this socket. So when you're reinstalling the new bulbs, just make sure those aren't bent out of the way and you have a good connection there. Our turn signal bulb here is going to be a 7440 or 7440 base bulb. This also just pulls straight out of the socket with some force. You'll see there's only 2 wires on here, one on either side. And it's an amber bulb, so you'll probably be looking at an actual part number of 7440NA or something like that. And again, that just presses back into the socket. When you're reinstalling the bulbs, do make sure you press far enough to hear the snap of it actually locking into the socket, so it doesn't come loose and fall out inside your taillight down the road. And finally, we have our combination bulb at the bottom, the brake lights and running lights, and this bulb has 2 filaments in it. Let's pull this out. So this bulb is going to be a 7443. That's the dual filament version of the same size socket as the turn signal. And you'll see there's 2 wires on each side. So there's a dim and a bright filament in here, positive for each line, and then they share a common ground. So make sure you're looking for a 7443. Just the clear lens is fine because the actual taillight lens is red. And of course, the same as usual, that just installs by pressing back down into the base until you hear the click. There we go. Now when we're reinstalling the sockets, it's important to see these little tabs around the outside edge. There's 4 of them here, these rectangular tabs. There's a single large one, and knowing where that's at will help you locate the direction to put it in the taillight housing. You'll see our large one is right there, that cutout. So make sure when you go to reinstall your socket, whichever one you're putting in, you line that tab up on the bulb base with the cutout in the taillight. So it fits all the way into the taillight, and then we'll just turn clockwise until we hear the click to reinstall. So it's quite simple, just takes a couple minutes to do by hand, no tools needed at all really, and you can just swap out any burned bulbs. But if you're looking for a little bit of a performance upgrade, maybe something brighter or a little bit neater looking, then we can talk about LED bulbs. So let's take a look at what I got for those. Alright, now with LED bulbs, my go-to is almost always Dow Dynamics stuff. They're not a sponsor or anything, I just really love the quality and performance of their products. But we're going to be using some of their LED bulbs in my taillights today. And as long as you have the same bulb size number, so for example, this is a 921, if it's the same as the OEM bulb number, you should be totally fine. There's a ton of brands out there, a ton of different styles and power levels of lights. I will say you generally get what you pay for in terms of quality, but do some research, find what bulbs work for you. I'll be using Diode Dynamics today. And for the turn signals, I'm going with red. I'm switching from amber to red turn signals, and they make a 7440/7443 compatible bulb here. So even though there's 4 wires on the base, it'll only be using the bright filament for the turn signal wiring. So let's put those in, because there's a couple important things to note about the installation of LEDs. So the first thing to know about LED bulbs is that they're polarity sensitive, and what that means is that basically in every one of these sockets you have a ground wire and a positive wire bringing 12 volts to the bulb. On the combination light, it's one common ground share between the dim and the bright filaments, so there's 2 positives and 1 ground. Anyway, with a traditional bulb, you've got your ground and your positive, and the bulb is basically just a fancy resistor. It's just generating heat and light, and it doesn't really care which way the power is flowing through it. LED bulbs, on the other hand, do care which direction the power flows, and they're polarized, so the positive has to be on one side, the negative has to be on the other side. So if you plug them in the wrong direction, they're not going to light up at all if you test them. So all we need to do to fix that is to unplug the bulb, rotate it 180 degrees, and plug it back in. Then they'll light up just fine, so make sure to test that. Thankfully, it is fairly easy to test. You can run your vehicle, switch on the lights, and just look back into the back seat with that access open and the bulbs out to make sure that the bulbs work, including firing up your reverse just to make sure before you reinstall them in the taillights and put the cover back on. The other thing that you'll need to know about replacing with LEDs, specifically your turn signals, is hyperflash. Now, older vehicles used to have a physical relay that controlled the flash speed of the turn signals, and that was based on the resistance in the relay, in turn that was caused by how much power the turn signal bulbs drew. So if you had a bulb that was burned out, the power draw would be super low and the relay would flash faster because there was less resistance. Now on the newer vehicles like this Fit, it's computer controlled, but it still works functionally the same way. When you have a bulb that's out, the computer can tell, and it will flash the signals double speed to let you know. And with LED bulbs, because they draw so little power, it's basically the same to the computer as none at all, and you'll get this hyper flash effect. To fix it on older vehicles, you could just replace the relay with an LED compatible one. On these, because it's computer controlled, you have to use a resistor in line with the turn signal bulb. I'm going to be using these ones from VLEDs. They're some of my favorites for ease of use, large surface areas, so they stay a bit cooler, and they're a lot more reliable in my experience than kind of the generic cheap gold ones that you find everywhere. I've got mine set up here with this kind of double T-tap kit. You could also just pull back the wires, cut them off, and splice if you wanted a more permanent solution. Or you could, of course, take the wire pigtails. The male and female part numbers are on the screen if you want to build your own harness to sort of plug in between the socket and the bulb with a resistor wired in, so it's more reversible and easily removable in the future. Regardless, you will need resistors if you want LED turn signal bulbs to flash the same speed, and if you replace the rear turn signals and the front with LED, you'll need a resistor for each bulb. Now, one thing that is very, very important when you're installing resistors with these is that if you're running your turn signals for a while, the resistors get super hot. So it's important to keep them away from plastic, other wires. Do not just stick them to the inside of this body panel. That is a huge potential danger source. Mine come with double-sided tape, some mount with screws, and you can see these even have slots to do that if you want. But the best place is to find a clean metal spot on the frame in here, away from anything else that could potentially melt or catch on fire, and stick them to that. If you're doing this installation in a colder weather environment, you may need to preheat your double-sided tape, or again just use self-tapping screws if you can, and just mount it somewhere to a nice metal surface where it will stay permanently and not risk damaging anything else. Okay, so those are the steps needed to replace the bulbs inside the housing, but maybe you have a bad foam seal, you're getting water leaks, or maybe you've got a fender bender, cracked the lens a little bit. Now let's take a look at how to remove the actual housing and assembly from the vehicle and replace it. Thankfully, this is super easy as well. This taillight housing is held in with 3 8mm nuts, one here down on the bottom, one back here toward the outside of the vehicle, and one up here on the top. A small wrench with a deep 8mm socket is perfect for this, and we'll just unscrew all 3 of those together. On this one that's farther inside, you may find it easier to use a ratcheting wrench or just a regular depth socket. With those loose a couple turns, we can just remove these by hand. Do be careful not to let them fall down into the bumper cavity. That'll be a huge pain to retrieve if so. Once they get to the end of these posts here, there's not actually any threads on the very end, so they'll slide off sooner than you might expect. So just make sure not to lose those. Okay, with the 3 nuts removed, now the taillight assembly can be removed from the back of the vehicle. It just comes straight out backward. There are a couple plastic push pins hidden behind here that go into the side of the rear fender. But with just a little prying force, they can be slid out. So there's those 2 pins there, and we can see the holes that they slide into. It's mostly for alignment. They're not super structural, but they can give you a little bit of trouble pulling out. Now, when I'm talking about a bad seal on the taillights, like I mentioned earlier, that could be something around the edge of the lens where it's sealed to the body, and that's not necessarily something you can fix. These don't have a glue that can be replaced or added to. They're plastic welded together. You could always add some silicone sealant around the side if you think that's where your water is getting in. But there's also a seal on the back of the taillights here where they actually meet to the body, and you can see this line right around here where they squeeze up to the chassis. And this is just a foam gasket that comes on the taillights. It's not rubber, so it can break down a bit prematurely, get a little dry, crack up, get ripped. So if you're having water intrusion issues into your taillights or even into your car from outside the body, it's a good idea when you're swapping out the taillights to check this seal. Make sure it's still got a little bit of squish to it, make sure there's no major damage or parts where it's missing. Honda does sell these separately if you need them. Mysteriously, there's different part numbers for the pre and post facelift. Either one should work in a pinch, but they are available and they're cheap to get a hold of new. These just come off the taillight by stretching around the bases of these threaded studs here. And just be careful not to tear this one. And then they just slide off. There's no adhesive or anything, and it's the same part number for both sides. You just flip for whichever taillight you're working on. There are also a couple plastic alignment pegs that go all the way through this into the body, so make sure that the gasket passes over those as well, so you don't have any spots where it gets pinched or torn. So there we have it, and of course replacing with a stock style taillight is the same. I have some JDM taillights that I'll be putting in instead, so let's take a quick look at that process. These are one of the more common Japanese taillight styles. In fact, I've already got a clear set on my other fit as well. And the install for these is pretty much straightforward. They're 100% plug and play on a USDM fit. There are other styles of taillights out there as well, an aftermarket type or two, and then just other market variants. So there's quite a few options. Shop around. They're all pretty much plug and play. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is the wiring length for the reverse light. And it's not too big of a deal. You can make an OEM plug and play extension similar to the turn signal with the part numbers for this 2-pin plug here. You know, you can reroute the factory harness back down through this other cutout, and of course you can also cut ties if there's any nearby to give you some extra slack on the taillight harness, just to give you that extra length if you need it. I believe it was a lot more problem on the first gen fit swapping to JDM taillights. I haven't had any issues with mine on this particular one, but just be aware that could be an issue. The JDM taillights that I picked up came with the sockets, bulbs, and wiring pre-installed. So here's a comparison. On the left side is the JDM socket I just took out of the taillight that came with it, and on the right side is my factory socket on the wiring. You can see they are the same, the plugs are the same, even the tabs around the outside edge for them locking into the housing is the same. So this is truly a plug and play swap. What I'm going to do is just discard this and reuse my factory USDM sockets, install my bulbs, and reinsert these into the taillights. Same situation for the turn signal bulbs and sockets, same size bulb, same connector, same locking tabs on the bulb socket. The only thing that's different on these JDM taillights from my US ones is the fact that the running lights and brake lights are integrated LEDs rather than separate bulbs. Now it's not an issue for the wiring. As you can see here, this is the little pigtail that came on my taillight, and if we unplug that, this is a 4-space connector, and we can see that's actually the same as our USDM one. So we'll press the tab in the center here to unlock this from the socket. And now this 4-pin connector, which is only populated with 3 wires, is going to plug right into our brake light LED connector on the JDM taillights. Again, perfectly plug and play. Making sure we have good gasket on there, and then as we go to reinstall these, we'll just try and make sure that those plastic pins line up with the mounting holes. Give it a little push backward, and we should see all 3 of our bolt posts. Yep, perfect, right there. So we'll reinstall those 8mm nuts to secure the taillight to the car. You definitely will want to snug these down until you start feeling some resistance. Those nuts don't really have anything to really keep them gripped on the taillight, and they can vibrate loose over time. So do just make sure and give those an extra half turn or so. Now we'll get our wiring reconnected. Here's our brake light plug. The reverse light plug can be kind of tricky to see, but as long as you get it lined up. There we go. And finally, we'll twist in our turn signal socket. And of course, once your lights are all tested, we can put this panel back into place by mounting the tabs on this side first, and then pressing around the edge to lock all the rest in place. And that's about it. And while we're in here, let's take a quick look at the third brake light assembly. I'm not changing mine out today, it works perfectly fine, but there are clear ones from other markets that you may want to use if you're going with clear tails. And this is stupidly easy to remove and access, so let's take a quick look. On either side of the plastic shroud around the light, you'll see these little indentations. Now if we push those inward at the same time as we pry down at this seam here, we can actually get this to pop off on either side. So this plastic cover here. Looking inside, we can see 2 10mm bolts here. Those can just come off super easily. And then our electrical connector is this white plug here. We can depress the tab in the center and pull it backward to disconnect. Removing those 2 parts, this whole brake light assembly can come out. Just keep in mind that you'll have to get the wire harness out from this little plastic clip here. You can see there's kind of a thin spot where it goes. It can help to slide this down off the point where the electrical tape is to just the 2 bare wires. They slide through that gap a lot easier. And the factory third brake light is actually already integrated LED. There's no bulbs to change, so if yours has burned out or part of it has stopped working, you do have to find and replace the entire assembly as a single unit. Reassembly, obviously the same steps in reverse. Put this back up and mount these 2 bolts back in place and feed the connector in. Make sure you hear the click of the locking tab. And the cover just mounts back in place on either side once those tabs are secure in the plastic. Now our new taillights are installed. They look fantastic, and the LED bulbs provide a much brighter and safer use case on the road. Now, of course, I'm aware about the discourse online about aftermarket LED bulbs and all the pros and cons to each. I'm not really interested in discussing that. Everybody can make their own choice for their own vehicles, and this is what I've gone with. Okay, and that's about all there is to it for the taillight replacement. As you saw, whether you're doing the bulbs or the housings, there's not much work involved and very minimal tools required, so quite easy to DIY. Thanks to, of course, the different market fits and jazzes across the world, there's lots of options combined with LED bulbs to customize and you really get a cool personal look, and they're pretty accessible too. I got mine off of eBay for a good price. You can find them on other auction sites and even from other people in the US that have brought them in and don't need them anymore, so easy to find, easy to customize. I hope that this info that I shared today helps you on your journey for your fit. Let me know what configuration you went with, and if I missed anything during the install process or a different taillight type that you might like to see. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.